Hey everybody, my name is Johnny Be Good. They call me Johnny Be Good on the CB. Actually, they call me, I've had half a dozen CB handles and call signs. Went from Trigger Happy to Johnny Be Good to one famous one is Toilet Brush. It seems like out here, if you ever came up with a really catchy CB handle, somebody already has it or somebody will copy it. And that went on for a while, for a couple of years. And finally I went back to my original Filipino call sign back in the Philippines, which was Toilet Brush. A friend of mine was Toilet Duck, and the other one was called Tango Alpha Echo, which is translated poop. And so anyway, I went with Toilet Brush for a while. One thing about that, nobody forgot it and nobody wanted to copy it. But I finally went to Johnny Be Good. It seems a little appropriate and decent. So, what's going on today? About a little introduction to who I am, what my hobbies and interests are, in case somebody out there is curious. So my name is John. They call me Johnny Be Good on the radio. I was born and raised in the Philippines, in Mindanao, Cagayan de Oro. I grew up in a very small island off of Mindanao called Camiguin Island. Very, very small island. It's only about 64 kilometers around. Got about 7 volcanoes. It's beautiful, gorgeous over there. The ocean is just as clear can be. One of the famous visiting sites in the island is called the White Island. It's nothing much really, just a white sand bar. But throughout my whole life, it's always been famous. Millions of people have visited that island, and but my village is called Liong, L-I-O-N-G, Lion G, and for some reason that's my island, is my village. I don't necessarily have to go to any parts of the island. As long as if I'm in my village, I'm quite satisfied, quite content. People there are very accommodating. I remember growing up there. I think we moved to that village, or that barrio, in 1974. I was somewhere about, 5 years old maybe. Believe it or not, I still had blonde hair. You see, my dad's an American, was an American, born and raised in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. but he became a merchant marine on the high seas. Became a sailor, not a navy, just merchant marine. And he became a sailor on the high seas. Did that for a number of years around the world. Walk across Australia, so he claimed. And he landed in the Philippines on a ship for an overnight stay, I guess. And he just fell in love over there. He jumped off ship and lived there for 45 years. He was known to be one of the locals. He spoke fluent Bisaya. One of the pioneering people in Cagayan. In fact, he drove taxi in Manila for a number of years. And the amazing thing was, my dad belonged to a very prominent, wealthy family in Wisconsin. But he wasn't like that. I guess he was what they call the black sheep. He did not conform to the suit and tie and high-class society parties. And whenever there was a party at their house, he was out in the garage taking an engine apart, putting it back together. And he loved to play with explosives. He also loved guns. I mean, he had guns everywhere. But I suppose when his dad died, him and his mother never got along that well. And so what happened is they got into a fight, and my dad left. He took off and went on his own. He did his adventures and all that. But to make the story short, he went to the Philippines, lived there for 45 years, almost as a beggar. In fact, the first year, 2 years he was there, people were kind of different back then. They were not used to the idea of a white American roaming around, and he was mistreated or not taken too kindly and all that. One day, my mom, before they met, my mom saw him and saw the people who were mistreating him, and she came to his honor and defended him. And several months later, and that's when I guess they got together, and you've heard the rest of the story. What else? So anyway, living in a village in a barrio in 1974, I had blonde hair. I became one of the kids in the village or the barrio. Grew up with them, played with them, but I looked different. But as I grew up, I started to change and became a little darker, I guess. So, back in 1974, up to about 1983, in fact, 1985, there were no electricity in the whole island. Well, there was in Mambao, in our capital, I guess. It was dark, no indoor plumbings, except for our house. My dad brought modern ideas and generators, and water pumps. And it also was one of the few privately owned television, black and white. I remembered, I think the very first TV show I remember was Combat Rat Patrol. I remember what day that was showing. The whole barrio, the whole people in the whole barrio went to our house to watch television, black and white. And it was funny because my dad wanted me to charge 10 cents for everybody who watched TV. The problem with that was everybody that watched TV, or everybody in the whole barrio, was a buddy of mine. And I did not have the heart to charge anybody. So that business never worked. Yeah. That went on for years and years. So I went to elementary school there, grade school, and first year of high school. And something about 1979 to 1980, we left the Philippines and lived here in the United States for the first time. Until about 1983 to 84, we went back home again. So, anyway, I think this video is getting kind of lengthy and long, so I'll cut it short here. I'll finish the story later if you guys are interested. Make a comment, rate, subscribe, and all that. YouTube, language, and all that stuff. Alright, Johnny be good. Peace.